right. Well, thank you everybody for joining the Crested Butte Mountain Heritage Museum for our History at Home series. My name is Nell Burkett and I'm the curator at the museum. Through the History at Home series, we aim to bring a diverse array of voices to dig into history from different perspectives. The museum would like to start the evening with a quick land acknowledgement as usual. The museum recognizes that we are guests here on this land, historically Ute territory. We acknowledge that the mining and ranching community that established itself at the end of the 1800s was at the expense of the Uncompahgre Ute and the Tabawatch Ute, who were forcibly removed from this area due to the Bruneau Treaty and the manipulation that followed. We hope that you will take time to visit our neighbor, the Ute Museum, located in Montrose, Colorado, with exhibits developed in partnership with the Ute Tribes by History Colorado, our state historic society. While we could never do this history justice, we do include information about Paleo-Indians of the Gunnison Valley, the Ute people, the Bruneau Treaty, and the Los Pinos Indian Agency in our exhibits. The Crested Butte Mountain Heritage Museum knows that we have a great responsibility in representing many stories from our history, good and bad, and we continue to listen to those voices when they are ready to share. This program is being recorded and will be available at CrestedButteMuseum.com, along with all the other recordings that we've done for History at Home, as well as all the other programs that we've done since COVID hit back last spring. As I announced last week, I just want to remind you all that our History at Home series is ending early. The last one will be, I believe, the 21st, because we are starting a new series with Dwayne Vandenbush, our Colorado State historian, on January 28th. And it will be all about Crested Butte history and the nearby area. So over the summer, we did Gunnison Country and beyond. So this one will be a little bit more localized series, and it'll be 12 episodes. So keep an eye out. Yeah, it'll be great. Keep an eye out. We're going to start probably advertising that early next week, so people can start registering for that very soon. Also, we are in the middle of our holiday history raffle. The raffle features a week stay in, I always butcher this name, Kailua Kona, Hawaii, a week stay in Molokai, Hawaii, a custom pair of romp skis, a $500 cash prize, a $100 Crested Butte personal chef's dinner, a $100 speckled goose dinner, and both of these dinners are gift certificates, and I believe what they're doing is dinner in your home. So they're delivering food to you. And also a museum package. Tickets are $5.50 for one or $26 for six and can be purchased through December 30th. The raffle drawing will take place online December 30th at 5:30 p.m. You do not have to be present to win. Next week's History at Home speaker is Kim Reichhelm. Reichhelm is a pioneer in the ski industry. She was a member of the U.S. ski team and an NCAA All-American for the University of Colorado, a professional ski racer, and two-time World Extreme Champion. Skiing Magazine has named Reichhelm as one of the most influential skiers of all time, and she is going to join us next week to talk about Crested Butte's Extreme Skiing Championships, a groundbreaking competition and an event she spearheaded starting in 1992. Now, finally, tonight I am so thrilled to welcome you, Bobbie Reinhardt. Originally, Bobbie was meant to be a speaker on a panel that we had planned to hold about the history of arts and culture in Crested Butte last March. However, like many things, the panel was at the mercy of a global pandemic and had to be canceled. So huge thank you, Bobbie, for joining us this week. We really appreciate you coming back.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. It's an honor that you asked me. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So Bobbie is a longtime resident of Crested Butte and former co-director of Crested Butte School of Dance. She has taught ballet, tap, and creative movement for the dance school for 35 years and elementary music at the community school for 20 years. She has also been a longtime advocate for arts for children in Crested Butte community and beyond. So this week is a little different setup. Rather than a presentation with a slideshow, this is going to be interview style. I always like to say that Crested Butte's history is really born out of oral history and through conversations like this. So this is a really special event for me tonight as well. This is my favorite way of talking about history and interacting with history. So folks, if you have questions for Bobbie throughout this entire interview, please do post it in the chat and we'll make sure to include those questions as we go along. So just to kick everything off, Bobbie, how did you come to Crested Butte and where are you from? Where did you come from to get
Where
here?
did I come from? Well, I grew up in Denver and went to school at Berkeley in the 60s. Very exciting times to go to college. And then after I graduated, I met George, my husband, 50 years ago. I was thinking about it as I was thinking about this interview. And we lived in San Francisco for 4, 5, 6 years, went to graduate school. And then one of George's best friends moved to Crested Butte from Aspen and said, please come and visit. And it's really a beautiful place. And we had been camping a lot and going up to the mountains a lot in California, driving 3 hours, 4 hours to get to the mountains practically every weekend, 2-week backpacking trips. And we came here in June of 1973 and we never left. We thought, wow, this is a great place. We arrived in June and there was so much snow and it was, of course, it was melting and the streets were all mud. And I thought, what kind of a place is this? Snow in June? I mean, they had a banner year that year. Unfortunately, we don't have those years too much anymore, but it was pretty impressive. And we thought, well, we'll just stay for the summer. That's actually what happened. And then we ended up building a little cabin, and the rest is history, as you say, history at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great time because we were young and we, in our early 20s, and we thought, well, what the heck? We'll just stay here and figure it out. We were both educated. I was a teacher and George he got his master's in international relations, something. And we started to build a house, and then he decided he wanted to be a contractor because he really enjoyed working with his hands and building houses, and he became a very successful contractor. So yeah, we've lived here for 46 years.
Well,
Never
congrats.
left. Yes.
I hear that story.
Full time? I said, yeah, full time. Where would I go?
I hear that story all the time. Well, I just came for the summer. I just came for the winter.
Right.
How to stay forever.
Well, and people that are watching that live here, this is a very magical place, and there's no place like it. And I just felt like I had come home. So that's what we did. So there.
So one of my favorite things to do, obviously, as a historian, is to kind of put our little microcosm of a history into the context of what was going on in the nation and kind of what the world was like. So when you came out here in the 70s, what was going on beyond Crested Butte? What kind of influences were happening in your world that may have kind of led you out in this direction and made you really fall in love with this place?
Well, I think, our parents were very blessed that they could afford to send us to college and all that. But it was the 60s. I mean, I graduated from Berkeley in 1969, and George graduated in 68. And it was all about, we were on the edge of hippies. We weren't true dropout hippies, but we were part of that culture where we didn't want to be part of the establishment and have just a job that we were supposed to have, that we were of the culture that we could do whatever we wanted because we were smart and we were young, and the most important thing was that we were happy. And that we were, it sounds kind of selfish, but that's the way it was. We were happy and that we contributed to the world for sure, but also that we were fulfilled. That's a better word than happy. That we were, that we really loved our job and we were passionate about it and so forth, and passionate about life and so forth. So that was the culture then. So, and most of the people that moved here were of that same ilk then in the 70s. And so we were all of the same feeling that this was, and being here in Crested Butte afforded us that possibility. because there was no dance school. There were, building was just beginning. There were no arts. There was no center for the arts. The Mountain Theater was a fledgling thing happening. So people like myself that were interested in the arts, I didn't know it, but that's what I was. I didn't know that I was until I came here and I tried to find my niche. And so it was a great place for me to do that, to fulfill that need for myself and for the community, because the community was growing, and that's what it needed. Besides an economic environment, it needed an arts community. So anyway, that was what was going on in our world. In the big world, well, I'm not sure. Jimmy Carter was president. I don't know. There was lots of other things going on, but we were very focused on having a good time and contributing to the town, and also trying to make a living. So all of those things.
So when you first came to town, what was your impression of the place and of the people?
Of Crested Butte?
Yeah. What were the people like that you were running into?
Yeah,
Who were some
well,
of the
like us, Yeah, they had probably been educated and gone to college and so forth, but they moved here for the same reasons we did, because we love the outdoors, we love the mountains, we wanted to we felt like pioneers a teeny bit. I mean, we built our little cabin by ourselves. I mean, George would read a book the night before and figure out how to do it, and then we would do it the next day. And we got all the logs from somewhere, I don't know, someone and I skinned all the logs outside, and he got people to work for him, but if the fishing was good, they would not work for 3 days. And, I mean, it was easy living at that time. So the people were like us. They were trying to, but we also decided that we had to make a living. So that was hard. I was a waitress half the time, and he was a waiter, and we did all these silly jobs so we could, not silly, but jobs. We just did these jobs so we could live here and work here and make money. And most of the people were doing that also. They wanted a different life. They didn't want to live in the city. And I didn't know I didn't want to live in the city till I came here. And then I went, whoa, I don't really want to go back there. So, because I had loved San Francisco. I thought that was just the greatest place. Coming from Denver, which was, at that time felt like a big, nothing much going on in Denver, except the stock show and lots of other things. But San Francisco was great. But when I moved here, I really found my, what I really love to do as far as activities. So anyway, that's what the people were like. But everybody was very passionate about not only the outdoors and all that, but also, if we're going to live here, we want a really cool place to live as far as amenities and community, building a community. And I think we did a good job, the people, when we first came here. Now, the old timers were here too, and we loved them and bridged that gap, and they seemed to like us too. So it worked. So
what were some of those first arts organizations? I know at one point, an interview that had been done with you with the School of Dance, you mentioned that you were part of the Crested Butte Society. And right. So I was wondering if you might talk about that, as well as maybe some other organizations that came around.
Well, the Crested Butte Society was 3 wonderful ladies. They were older than I was, not much, but somewhat. And they started this society. It was Joni and Sally, and I can't remember the third one. And they believed about that this community needed arts for children, for people, for everyone. So they got together and formed the Crested Butte Society, and they were responsible for the first arts fair, which was started in the 70s sometime. And also when Heidi Frazier and I started the School of Dance in '82, we were under their umbrella because we needed money to buy floor and to get donations and to give scholarships to the students. We needed we needed help. So we were under their umbrella for some time, but, and also I was a board member for them also, for the Crested Butte Society. And that's what we did. We helped arts organizations like the Mountain Theater and the Paragon. I don't know if the Paragon was going on then, but visual arts. And we helped them by raising money because they were a 501c3, the Crested Butte Society. And then they would raise money and then give to the arts, the fledgling arts organizations. So that's what they did. So they were pretty.
That is really interesting that they helped kind of boost you. I knew that they did quite a bit of that. They helped artists in general kind of get a leg up and get started. So did you have to put a proposal together, or how did you end up getting that? What was the process for getting that support and getting that school started?
Oh, the School of Dance?
Yeah, was that what they were helping you with?
They were just our umbrella. They didn't really help us start the school, but well, that's a big long story. So we got together and Heidi Fraser came to town in 1982 or something, and she was Heidi Duval then, and she was a very accomplished ballet dancer. She had danced with the Radio City Ballet Company, and she came here with her boyfriend to learn how to ski. She didn't want to live in New York City anymore. And Shirley Stavajar, our beloved ballet teacher, was unfortunately dying of cancer at that time. And she had started this ballet school, and I was part of the ballet school. And when she died, Heidi and I took over the students then. And we changed it to the Crested Butte School of Dance. And we moved into and became partners, and we moved into the depot. And the depot, everybody knows where the depot is, I don't know, but it was owned or operated. It was owned by the town, but the Crested Butte Society was in charge of it as far as renting it out for spaces. And they rented it to us, the depot, at a very minimal amount of money so we could start our school. So we had our little school in that, I don't know if you've been in the depot, I'm sure you have, in the big room, in the biggest room there. It had, they put down a floor for us though. They put down an oak floor, which when they renovated it a few years ago, they took it up. So now the Ripley floor is there now again. But they put an oak floor down for us, and we had mirrors, and we painted it, and it was just great. It was darling. And so that was how the school started, the Crested Butte School of Dance.
What a great place to have that dance.
Yeah, it was really great. It was a beautiful place, so forth. And then, yes, go on.
Well, I was going to rewind us back a little bit, but
yeah, rewind. Tell me what you want to know.
Okay. So that's jumping up to 82, correct?
Yeah. Go back. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So leading up to the School of Dance, you were teaching in town. Is that correct?
You mean teaching at the school, at the community school? No, I wasn't doing that yet. I wasn't doing anything as far as I was part of the arts organization, but I wasn't teaching at the community school. I was teaching at the preschool because I had little children. My son was 3 and my other son was 9 months old or something. And that was in the 80s, but when I first got here, 73 to 80, I just worked jobs. I worked at the Bakery Cafe. I worked 3 or 4 Penelope's. I don't know if you've heard of Penelope's, but that was a restaurant. I worked everywhere. And I worked for the Chronicle as a secretary. I had millions of jobs, but I was not satisfied. It was just, I don't know what I was doing. I was just doing that. But I was in the theater and I was doing plays but I was a teacher. I had come from California and had my teaching certificate, but I didn't want to teach high school because I didn't want to go to Gunnison. So I was a high school teacher. So I didn't want to commute to Gunnison every day, but I did want to teach somehow. So when my children were born, so I wasn't doing. When they were born, the economy fell out of the my husband was working and he was a contractor and things were going great. And then the economy, 1979, 1980, the economy busted. That was the oil business in Texas, and everything went bust. And we couldn't even afford to send our children to preschool at the time. So I thought, well, I can sing and dance and I love kids. So I'll just teach them how to dance and sing. And so for my tuition. So I did that. And I realized how much I loved it. I still am doing that. That's my favorite job ever. I still teach it, stepping stones. So Honeydew Murray was the lady in charge, and she hired me. She said, sure, let's do it. And anyway, that was the beginning of that career. So that was great. And then, but I didn't start working at the school until later, much later, the community school, till I think 88, 90, something like that. So.
Something that stood out to me in your previous interview that you said was that you found that dance, or was it music, one influenced the other in the ability to learn it. I think you said that music was best learned through dance. Is that correct?
Yes. So, so when I became the music teacher at the elementary school, I became an ORF teacher. I got certified in ORF. And that's where you play ORF instruments and sing and dance and do theater. It's a multidiscipline way of teaching music. So, and I learned when I went to all the workshops and all the certification that the best way to teach music is through your body, and even people who play the violin, they take movement classes to learn how to play the violin better. And I thought, well, I could be a great music teacher. I mean, why not? And then music and PE. So this is how Crested Butte worked then. You see what I mean? It was so awesome. So this job became available at the school. It was quarter time, music and PE, quarter time, and elementary, kindergarten through, oh no, actually, that might have been K-8 then. I can't remember. Anyway, so I went and I said, well, I can do this job, even though I don't have a certification. I minored in music, so I did have a music degree, but I can do this. And they said, well, we can't hire you because you're not certified. And I said, well, okay. So nobody showed up for the job. So they gave the job to me. And it was great. And then I went back and got certified in elementary education, and I taught music and PE. It was great, and I did a great job. I mean, I just self-taught myself. And that, when you asked about Crested Butte, that's the way people were. They go, well, George says, I'm going to build a house, so how do I do it? Okay, well, I'll figure it out. That's the kind of people that were here. And so that's what I did. And the principal hired me, and she said, oh, you're smart, you can do this. I went, oh, wow, nobody ever told me that before, but I can do this. And she was an ex-music teacher. Susan LeBeau was her name. And so she helped me a lot. And then the school kept getting bigger and bigger, and pretty soon I was just doing music. And I can play the piano and I can sing. But to answer your question, I felt very qualified because I taught a lot of dance while I was teaching in music class. Every music class I started, I taught them either a folk dance or a square dance. We spent at least 10 minutes, 15 minutes dancing every class. And I really think that's how you teach music. So anyway, at that time, the dance school was growing and growing and thriving. And we had a fellow town planner, Miles Radiman, who said to us, the pump room, they built the fire hall in 1979, I think it was, or something. And they had the big room upstairs, the pump room. And they were renting it out, the town. And they were having a lot of trouble renting it out because they didn't have trouble renting it out, but they had trouble managing the rentals. So they said, okay, you can be the managers for renting it, and you can use it as your dance studio. So we moved from the depot to there. So that was huge. And the School of Dance is still there in that building.
Um, I want to jump back to also your experience in theater. What was the theater like? What were you doing with the theater? And these are the, like you said at the beginning, these were kind of just the early days. So I'd love to know more about that whole organization.
Yeah, well, I didn't have much to do with the theater. Um, I was just dabbling in it when I got here because I wanted to do something in the arts. So I was in a couple of plays where I did some dancing, and I was in another play where I was Amelia Earhart. So it was just open. Again, I would never have done that had I lived in San Francisco or somewhere else. But it was just open to everyone, like, come and try, you know, if you want to be in the theater, you can be in the theater. You know, I had no training or anything, and I got the part and so forth. When the dance school started getting more students and more viable, and we were doing lots of things, we danced in some of the productions. And Heidi actually was the lead in Cabaret, you know, so she was involved, but we weren't involved in the, well, actually I was that was one of my crazy jobs. I wasn't the artistic director, I was the administrative director for the Mountain Theater for a year or something like that. And that was fun. I just went to the theater, I took my baby with me in his little basket and put him there and took tickets and took care of the books and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I tried everything until I found my niche being a dance teacher and running the school, which was a huge blessing. It's great.
Could you tell me a little bit more about Shirley Stavajar and what she was like?
Wow, she was great. She was married to Robel Stavajar, who was the first ski school director of the ski school of CBMR. And the story was that he met her and said, if you marry me and move to this little dinky town, she was a teacher at the School of American Ballet in New York City. And if you marry me and move to Crested Butte, to this dinky little town, I think it was 1969, I'll build you a dance studio. So she did, and he built her the dance studio. And yeah, I had danced a little bit when I was young and in college and I was very lucky in high school. They offered dance instead of PE. This is in the 60s. And so that was very advanced. So I was very excited about that. So I took a lot of dance in high school, but I wasn't a dancer really. And then I took dance in college for fun and so forth. It was one of those things you don't know is part of you, but you just kind of do it when you're young, you know. So then, so where was I going? Oh, so when I moved here, I was dabbling around, and then she had this dance school, but I had never taken ballet. I always took jazz and modern and that. And she taught ballet. And when I met her and went to ballet class, that was all. I mean, I was smitten with ballet. I went every day for a year, every morning. And she taught skiing, Shirley, and she had to be up on the mountain at 9. So we would go to her studio at 7:30 and have an hour class, and then she would leave and go teach skiing. So we were very committed. There were about 6 or 8 of us that were very committed to that. And yeah, she was a wonderful teacher and a wonderful friend, and I was devastated when she passed. It was very difficult. But she also started the summer program. It was called Dance on the Mountains, and that was fabulous. And she brought teachers from all over, and they taught ballet and tap and jazz, and then I learned how to tap, and so did Heidi. And so then when we started the dance school, neither one of us knew how to tap, but we became really good tap teachers, and so we put tap into the dance school. But so after she passed and we started the school, we also had a summer program called Dance Summer, which was just wonderful. 3 weeks every summer, where kids came every day, and then we did a big performance at the end of the 3 weeks. So it was great.
I heard once that Shirley would teach all the ski
Oh, right.
instructors a little bit of dance so that
You
they
betcha.
could be better ski instructors.
Yes, yes, she did that. Well, that was part of her, like myself, that was part of who she was. And she felt that gave them better balance and better core work and strength in a way. And it, probably softened them up a little bit, for be more sensitive to their bodies and so forth. Dance is an amazing tool and music, but to just get in touch with your soul and your body and your place. I mean, I'm not dancing anymore, which makes me very sad. I'm not even teaching anymore, which makes me even more sad. Because of COVID, I don't think that I should at this time. So I'm not even doing that, but I am taking belly dance class with Heidi. She moved away 9 years ago, and she has a belly dance class twice a week. And so I'm doing that in my little room here. And it just makes me feel so great. And, I'm not leaping and jumping and doing all the things I used to do, but it's dance and it's music. And it's just, for me, and I think everyone, but it's just so good for you to do that. I think I encourage everyone who's watching to try it. Anything. Huh? What?
Great advice.
Yeah, no, really, it's great. What is Fred Astaire? Put a little fun in your life. Try dancing. I mean, how fun it is to go out and dance at a party. So anyway, I digress.
So, what were the first dance classes that you were teaching at the School of Dance?
Well, Heidi and I became great partners because she, it's not that she didn't like little kids, but she felt more comfortable with adults and teenagers and so forth. And she was a very strong technical dancer. I mean, she was truly amazing dancer. And so she taught the older kids and I taught the younger kids. And I started them at 3.5. And from my music training, I learned so many games and fun games to play with them. And I incorporated, when I first started teaching, and I did the whole time, incorporated role playing and creative games to, besides dance, besides the technique. I wasn't much into technique until they were about 5. It was mostly fun, just to get them, like, I want to go to dance class. I have so much fun, and they love me, and I love them, and it was just fun. So then once they were 5, they were all ready to learn and dance and not be afraid and not be intimidated and feel comfortable in the dance class. Wasn't like, oh, she's not doing this right or her plie or this and that. It was just all relaxed and fun. So that was very successful for me. I learned that early on. So it's good.
And then, okay, so you were saying that Shirley started the Dance in the Mountains, and then you guys kind of is this correct? You transitioned it into Dance Summer, or you kind of revived it at another point?
Well, we made it part of, there was one year after we took over the dance school from her, there was one summer we didn't have anything because we weren't very organized. And then the next summer we revived the summer dance program. And we called it Dance Summer instead of Dance in the Mountains. And we built a stage. So Shirley had a stage in her backyard on 7th and Maroon, and that Robo built. And we moved that stage to the back of the depot. And we put another floor on it, our own floor. And we bought a parachute. We put this big parachute on it, which kept falling down in the middle of the night. We had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and have it all ready. But, and we had husbands that were helping us, or else we wouldn't have been able to do anything without them. Heidi's husband built the stage, and we kept putting, anyway, so then we had classes out behind the depot. And then the Mountain Theater used it also in the evening for their plays. And then the neighborhood complained because it was not about us, but after 5 o'clock, it was too noisy in the neighborhood behind the depot. So they had to move and so forth. But anyway, we had, so we had classes out there, and then we had our performance there. I think you read in my little interview, that was one of my favorite things was the arts fair was not as even close to as big as it is now. I mean, it was very small. Well, it wasn't very small, but it was, and we performed at the arts fair on the street. We did that before Dance Summer, before we built the stage down there. But at 10:30, we would have our performance, which would be 3 weeks, the culmination of the 3 weeks of ballet, jazz, tap, of daily classes, teenagers, no kids, teenagers and adults. And we would have the performance, and everybody from the arts fair would walk down Elk Avenue and go to the depot and watch us dance. And then after we were done, they'd all go back to the arts fair. It was really great. Yeah. Every summer we did that for 20 years. It was great. Very fun.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Were you involved with the arts fair for some time?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. We just danced. We just danced in it.
Okay.
We danced in it. We danced outside. We danced on a platform. Mm-hmm. We were always part of everything. Mm-hmm. We said, can we do it? Can we be, yeah. Even, the dance school, even there at Western State College for many years, 4 or 5 years, had a wonderful teacher there who put on beautiful musicals. And we even danced in those. She invited us to come down because there was no dance school in Gunnison at that time. And we danced in Fledermaus. We danced in, I can't remember, all these different, there were a lot of it. It was a great experience for the dance school to be part of a big musical in Gunnison. I don't know what's going on down there now, but anyway, that was great.
So how was the community impacted? How were the kids and the families really impacted by the dance school and dance summer and everything that you were really working on with these kids?
Yeah, I'd like to say that it was impacted a lot. It was cool to dance. I had a lot of little boys in my class. When hip hop came around, I lost them because they couldn't take hip hop till they were 5. So they thought, well, I'll just do hip hop. But before that, they were taking ballet and tap and jazz and doing all that. No, everybody, we made the classes very affordable, and we offered scholarships, and we got help from the Community Foundation, and raised money through other things. We became a 501c3, I think, in 2005. But before that, we just kept everything affordable because they didn't charge us much for the pump room, which was so wonderful. The town really helped us out for that. So then we could pass on the low for the kids, for them to come, tuition. The tuition was very low. So everybody was dancing. I mean, everybody thought, I can dance and I can do that. And everybody wanted to be in shows, Performances were the big thing, and costumes, and yeah, we were all about that. And then they built a center, or we built a center. I was a big part of that too, building of the Center for the Arts. So then we started performing. They moved the stage from the back of the depot to the center. That's the stage that's there now, for Alpenglow and all that. But it was not a great place to perform dance. So we moved inside. So we had dance summer performances indoors the last 10, 15 years that we were doing dance summer. So, but it was a huge impact. Everybody came to the performances. Everybody came took dance. Our classes were huge. Dance summer. Second homeowner people would come just during that time so their kids could participate. There was also the Creative Arts Institute that we did. that was nothing to do with the dance school, but that was what I did with another woman called, her name is Mickey Bott, and we did that for 25, 30 years. Um, it
Yeah,
was
can you tell
a
us some
summer
more
camp.
about that?
Yeah, it was a summer camp for kids 5 to 16, and the older kids 11 to 16 produced a musical, and and the younger kids did music, dance. They came every morning 9 to 12, and they took classes in theater, singing, orff instruments, and dance, and art, and graphic arts. And Mickey, brought teachers from New Orleans. She's from New Orleans, so she brought a lot of teachers from New Orleans and from people that she knew. So that was a very huge thing. So people would come, and they would take creative arts in the morning, and then they would take dance in the afternoon. So it was a big, very, very artsy thing for kids in the summers. So it was a lot of work, but it was worth it. Yes, it was a lot of work for me, but Heidi was huge, helped a lot. She helped with creative arts, and there were just a lot of people that helped a lot with all of that.
What are some memorable moments that stand out from that Creative Arts Institute?
Well, the plays were great, and we did all really wonderful plays. We did Fiddler on the Roof, we did Peter Pan, we did The Little Mermaid. The memories were all just funny stuff happening all the time, and just she did a lot of role playing with the kids, and so that was great. We played a lot of theater games, but the plays were always great, and they always did an overture with the orff instruments. My sons were in the plays all the time, and so that's a huge highlight for me, and they loved it, and they were the leads in a lot of the plays, and they met other kids. It's a good way to meet other kids from other towns that came here to visit for the summer. Yeah, no, it was a great time. That it was always sold out. I mean, that's why we needed a new theater, because those performances and Dance Summer and all of our dance shows were maxed out every single performance for years and years and years, because everybody loved to watch kids dance. No, it was great. Kids doing anything is just wonderful, So I think,
especially in the arts, right?
especially in the art. Well, yeah, no, anything. Baseball, soccer, anything they do. I think it's great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah.
How do you think that these programs have impacted the community overall, the development of our town? As we're in kind of a transition these days. The last 10 years have been very transitional for this town in our growing and the way things have changed. So I wonder what your impression is how these programs or other arts programs have influenced what the community that we're becoming.
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. I know the dance school is very, very successful still and vibrant. And A.H. Marziano had a huge impact on that. And yeah, I think parents and people still are into the arts here and so forth. And the Mountain Theater is still very viable and so forth. And I think it's pretty well set. This community loves the arts. And I mean, look, we built this incredible art center. I mean, I was just so upset that I didn't get to perform in it last year. We had to cancel because would have been our first year at the art center. But that building of that is a testament to how much this community believes in the arts and how it wants to teach, to provide that for their children, So I think it's great. I mean, my sons they're not in the theater, and they don't play instruments, and but they're such well-rounded people because of their life in the arts when they lived here. I mean, when we first moved into the center, you know, I mean, my son ran the sound, and my other son was carrying the stuff around, you know, I mean, the sets and so forth. I mean, they were just part of it. And it was just very easy for them and cool for them to be in the arts and to dance and to sing and do all these things. So I just think it made them much better persons besides all the other kids in the town. So I think that's still here. I hope it's still here. I think parents still believe that children, um, that they're better off if they have a much richer life if they do these things when they're young. You know, whether they pursue them later in life or not, it helps them with their life. So that's what I think.
Great answer to a tough question. We are starting to run out of time, unfortunately. So I want to, there's a couple comments in the chat that I'd love to read to you. But before I get to that, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you think is really important to make sure that we have for the records and that people know about in regards to dance and the arts and kids and our history here in Crested Butte?
No, I think we covered it. No, you did a great job of interviewing. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. No, I think we covered it.
All right. Well,
Okay.
In our comment section,
Yeah.
Carol Armitage, she
Oh,
wrote,
hi, Carol. I forgot about her. She was a huge part of our dance summer experience too. I mean, I didn't forget about her. I just didn't touch on her. But anyway, go on.
she says, prior to 1973, when Bobbie arrived in CB, there was a surprisingly sophisticated, though erratic, cultural enterprise. I like how she phrases that.
Right.
The town was destitute. However, the Princess Theater showed European films with directors like Bergman, and I seem to remember included Rossellini and other European greats. Shirley Stavajar came to CB as the wife of the first ski instructor, Roble Stavajar. She had been a ballerina. In addition to selling Swiss chocolate and other items in the company store, she taught me as her first dance student in her wood shed behind their house on Elk Avenue.
I love it.
This may have launched dance in CB. I brought my company from NYC to CB for 2 wonderful summers supported by CB.
Yes, she did. We had a great time with her. That was wonderful. Yeah, no, she was terrific. Yeah, that was great. That was all part of Dance Summer. That's what it was all about. You know, like bring people here. Whoever wants to come, we're open. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, no, I loved having Carol here. That was great.
Yeah. Also, Megan Ashley says she was one of your students, and she's on listening tonight as well. And she loved her time for Dance Summer. She says, I think you may have taught me my sweet Georgia Brown routines for the arts fair. So nice to see you.
Oh, that's great. And where is she from? Where does she live? Or does it say?
Right now she's in California, but she does have a house here. She's Dana Ashley's daughter.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, out in Oakland. I just had a question pop up from Cindy Petito.
Oh, Cindy. Hi, Cindy.
She wants to say, thank you for all your teaching of our children over the years, Bobbie. Totally agree about how important the arts are to our children and performance art, dance, theater, such great builders of confidence. Thank you.
Yes. Cindy was amazing thespian, terrific thespian. She was a huge part of the Mountain Theater and was part of its early success for sure. Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah, that was great.
Let's see. And she says she even took one of your classes, 2 left feet and all.
Great.
So I gotta ask, did you ever have any disasters in a performance? Did anything just fall apart?
Absolutely. Everybody likes those disasters. Well, creative arts had most of the disasters actually. Mm-hmm. The funniest, there were a couple of funny ones with where Andy Shepard was he was Fiddler on the Roof, not Fiddler on the Roof, the Beauty and the Beast, and he was the Beast, and he was running across the stage, you know, being being the beast, and he had a big cape on, and he got a hold of the set, and the whole set fell down. Oh gosh, it was just, I know, but it was fun. And then another time, Peter Pan we had rigged her name was Dorothy, and rigged her flying through the window, so the set was here and the window was here, and she was on a pulley, and she would fly across, and you'd see her, behind, and she was on the pulley, and she came through going like this. She was all part of anyway, those were funny. But otherwise, no, we didn't have too many disasters. I mean, a lot of the tech was a problem at the center, and we weren't ready and so forth. But no, we didn't have any disasters. It was, I mean, we had some, but nobody knew.
Yeah, right. There you go. That's the key. Nobody else knows.
Those were two very funny things. And something funny was always happening. They were teenagers, something always funny was happening. And then the last performance, they would start ad-libbing, and anyway, they were teenagers. But they were great. They were great.
Were there any performances that stood out as particularly meaningful or have really stuck with you?
You mean the dance performances?
Yeah.
Oh, no, all of them. No, they were all terrific. I mean, as far as my little kids, they were all terrific. Yeah, all the kids loved them, and they loved their costumes. They cried when it was over, because they wanted to do it again. Stuff like that. No, it all was beautiful. The Heidi was quite a choreographer. She was very talented, and a lot of her things were very well done and pretty fabulous. Oh, the one thing we did was called Beat of the Butte, and we did that was a long time ago, and we made a set of the backdrop of some of the different buildings in Crested Butte, the company store, and we had Al, Danita's was there, and the post office, and and Sancho's, that was a restaurant, and so forth. So we had all those buildings in the back, and then we did the history of the Butte. We did lots of dances about the coal mine, and we had dances and square dancing, all sorts of things. Yeah, that was cool. That was a great thing we did. And we used the music. What was his name? I can't remember. But we used all his music. The school at that time did a lot of artists in residences. So they would bring a person here who was part of the Colorado Artists in Residence organization, and they would bring him here. Randy, what was his name? Darn it. And we used all his music for the Beat of the Butte, because he was a folk singer. Why can't I remember his name? I'm sorry. But anyway, he was an artist in residence here, and he taught the kids songs and music. That was before I was a teacher. And then we used his music. So yeah, that was memorable. Good. I've forgotten about that. Thanks.
Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. That was fun.
Yeah. Now, did you ever teach your students the polka?
I did, of course.
Right.
Yes. I taught my dance students that, because it was part of, chasse and all. And then I taught I taught the kids how to polka at school too. Yeah. They did a lot of, like I said, a lot of folk dances, and a lot of Greek dances, and square dancing, and lots of fun stuff.
Fantastic. Yeah. We got to keep that polka going,
Yeah, you betcha. Yeah, that's fun. And I took Dwayne's class, and we did a polka one night. That was great.
All right. Was
Oh,
it
yeah.
with,
Yeah.
I can't believe I did.
Yeah, oh, good. I'm glad you don't remember. The fellow with the accordion, of course. Yes. Yeah. No, it was great. He does that with all of his classes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much again, Bobbie. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us tonight and share your story.
Yeah, no, it was great. I'm very blessed that I have, that I lived here and moved here, and I got to do what I love to do. It's great. And I'm still doing it. Hopefully I'll be able to do it again.
It's coming back around. It's coming back around.
Coming back around. Well, I'll never leave the nursery school. I'll never leave Stepping Stones. I'll be 90 and I'll still be going there. I really love that.
All the more students.
Yes. Okay.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Remember, please consider supporting this program and the museum by going to crestedbuttemuseum.com to become a member or to make a donation. Every little bit counts, of course. And also that History at Home next week is with Kim Reichel, and we're going to learn about the beginnings of the Extreme Skiing Championships. And then finally, our holiday history raffle. Tickets for $5.50 or $26. Again, you can find them all at crestedbuttemuseum.com, or you can always swing by 331 Elk Avenue and say hey to us there as well. We are open in the store. If you want to find any great holiday gifts, or we have amazing ornaments, I gotta say. I'm looking forward. I'm already picking out mine.
Right, and I have to say the museum is wonderful too. I love the museum, and you do a great job. Flo does a great job. Everybody does a great job. So,
well, thank you.
Thank you to the museum too. Thank you.
All right, everybody, have a great rest of your night.
You too. Thank you. Thanks for coming, everybody. Bye bye. Thanks.